because I've seen it a few times.
Welcome to Bo Naaman's Bogus Hangout, everyone. I'm gonna have I have a number of guests with us already. I'm gonna have them introduce themselves. Doc.
Hello, everybody. Doc Sheldon here of Intrinsic Value SEO and Search News Central.
Why?
Steve? Are we done? What's going on?
I think Bill's having some issues.
I've got a time loop.
Oh, okay.
I think I shut it down.
One of these days, I'm going to put this cable away and not get it all turned into a pile of knots.
Introduce yourself, Steve, too.
Steve Grenzer, Steam Driven Media. How you guys doing this week?
So far, so fun. Terry?
Terry Van Horn, Director of SEO Research, Wellspring Search. I'm working in America now, Bill. Getting real dollars.
Welcome to America.
So that's 2 weeks in a row you've been employed.
Yeah, I'm being fired yet.
And taking jobs from Americans.
Well, that was longer than I lasted at. No, I lasted a little bit longer than that at the first station.
Well, look at it this way, Terry. You're bound to last longer than most of his cabinet. You almost have already.
Well, my boss has, got a full deck. So there's that.
So how many attorney generals has Trump had?
Like
Didn't
5,
he just
I think.
let one of them go last week?
Anybody who disagrees with him, he just lets them go.
That's apparently still a bone of contention as to whether he asked them to leave or they decided to leave, and they can't agree.
Well, at the press conference, when the person leaving goes, "I'm out."
I have quit jobs before, and I have been fired once. And in neither instance was there ever doubt in my mind which it was. Usually it was because there was a security guard holding a cardboard box standing next to my chair.
No.
Escorted out.
Yeah, when your bosses tell you somebody you supervise is being let go, and you should carefully keep an eye on them as they leave, it's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta wonder if you're next.
No, I managed to survive that job. I think I even earned a pension from it.
Wow.
I was working at McDonnell Douglas when they let go 27,000 people in a period of 2 months.
Wow.
Which is literally 50% of the workforce, okay? And I was a bum, the business unit manager, so I had like 26 direct reports and about 515 total. And my boss called me in and told me this was happening. And then he inadvertently, totally without meaning to, said near the end of the discussion, and once all that's done, you don't have to worry. You won't be having your exit interview until all of your people are gone. I don't think he meant to let that cat out of the bag. I said, well, gee, thanks, Ammon. I appreciate hearing that.
Turn the lights on, off
on your way out. Yeah, close the door, turn off the light. Oh, fun. The cool thing about that one was that 27,000 of us and about 14,000 were engineers. And at the time when the layoff hit, there was a total of 812 engineer jobs open in all of Los Angeles County. So I ended up being a maintenance mechanic at a plastic injection molding plant. So what were we talking about? The wonders of Google's tools for detecting things like mobile friendly and schema validity and
Structured data errors.
yeah.
They have one version in the older set that detects a different set of errors than the new version.
I think
They've removed some of the ones from the new version because I guess they thought not enough people were using them. I'm not sure why.
now what I found was when you look at the older version, everything it passed, no errors or warning. But when you go to the new one, there's errors and warnings. However, they're for things that weren't there. So they weren't errors in the syntax or anything, right?
Yeah.
What it was, Google changed the criteria that you have to have, the items that you have to include, the properties that have to be included with product. So I didn't include an offer or a review, right? So they said there was an error for that.
There's a linter from a guy named Greg Kellogg that I use to check on JSON. And it identifies errors that Google Structured Data Testing Tool doesn't identify. I like having the errors identified, even if Google doesn't say they're errors.
Of course, because it's going to go beyond Google at some point.
Yeah.
Can you give us the URL there for that? But
Yeah, let me see if I can. I know where I have that one.
yeah, what it basically looks like is they're starting to change the requirements. So now when you go to schema and what they say is required, don't go by that. Go to Google's page in the developers section for that piece of schema and see what they're requiring. Because it can be different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying something here in the near future to business with multiple locations, all going to go from one site. If I can manage to make that happen. Get them all in the local packs.
I'm looking for an email I got this morning too from W3C about something else we might want to discuss. If I can find it.
From the W3C.
Yeah, just a notification that they just approved something that their working group has been talking about for a surprisingly short. Huh?
15 years?
No, actually, for them, I mean, we're talking about a matter of 2 or 3 months. It was surprisingly brief for the W3C. I mean, usually takes them 6 months just to form a goddamn working group, you know.
How long did HTML4 exist? 4.01?
Like 4 years or something.
I thought it was like 15.
Yeah, because 5 still hasn't been released. It's still in. We're looking it over. We're trying to decide.
We're gonna put H1s in every segment. We're gonna do all kinds of other things, just really confuse people.
Oh, it's no rhyme nor reason to headings now, as far as I can see.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with structured data. It's
So
all about.
We've got a new tag called an aside tag. What's an aside other than like a stage direction in a play?
Well, I think HTML5 has been in RFC for 10 years at least.
And I have people tell me some things like if you have an image that's a non-meaningful image, something like a bullet point or something that you wouldn't use alt text on,
Right.
then instead of having that image with blank alt text, you should use CSS for the image. And I just really found it difficult imagining any site owner in the world, anywhere, letting me suggest that.
Yeah.
Now, you should remove your meaningless images and replace them with CSS. And I'm only going to charge you this to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for that. I mean, I wondered if the person who suggested that was employed. And I saw that he is, but
It's hard enough getting clients to do things that are actually important.
Yeah.
and it's not that an alt text that's blank is harming anybody's accessibility. It may not be the ideal way of presenting a meaningless image because somebody might accidentally put some actual alt text in there that doesn't have any value. It's like you're trying to make the web idiot proof. There are too many idiots. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's. We're going to need a better web.
Every time you think you make something idiot proof, the universe just generates better idiots.
There you go.
You're idiots. That's a good one. That's as good as you can fake stupid.
No, you can't. And I wrote about a patent last week that where Google explains how they might automate the creation of knowledge graphs by understanding what entities appear on the page and then capturing the classes of those entities and the relationships between entities and classes and subclasses and the contexts of those relationships. And if they're able to do that, there won't be a need for schema. Because they're sort of trying to make the web scalable So they don't need to have people writing schema, and they don't need to rely on knowledge bases like Wikipedia, which are manually generated by people. So if a search engine could just generate knowledge base information on its own by reading the web and doing data mining, why would we need it to use Wikipedia? We wouldn't.
And it could be the structured data just to train them how to do it without it.
Well, one of the parts of schema is having the subject matter experts decide which schema attributes are important. And the people creating schemas are doing that type of work too. So they're not just creating tags as you might use on your page. They're identifying what data is important, what data isn't important. That Google can't automate. It's a lot more work.
Right.
So you let them generate that. You let people apply it to see how well it works. You test their applications of it, and then if you automate that type of stuff, you have some tests that you can tell how well it worked or didn't work yet, to see if you need to change it, improve it. So yeah, we're still the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
We're one big lab experiment by Google. Yeah, how many millions of searches a day? It's all just a test. Which makes sense. I mean, people from Google insist that they're not using click-throughs as a ranking signal, that they're using those types of things as ways of evaluating the algorithm. So human beings are ways of evaluating the algorithm.
Well, plus, how do you really separate, from their standpoint, the difference from how you rank sites that you put in the SERPs and how you rank the effectiveness of your algo in what it puts in the SERPs? You know, those overlap tremendously.
There's probably thousands they monitor all the time, daily.
So one of the things that they sometimes enter into their evaluations of algorithms are what they call synthetic queries, where they perform searches on their own. They're not human beings performing them. They're just studying what happens when let's try this word, let's try this word, let's try these. Let's see what happens. Let's see what the results are like. Let's study them.
How will it change?
So they're Google's itself a lot, and you know that's part of the evaluation process too.
Right.
And it makes sense it would do that. Because Google's not going to complain if it doesn't like the results it gets when it does it, whereas people will.
Right.
And sometimes those people write for newspapers, like the New York Times, which complains when they don't like the results they see at Google.
I imagine that's how they perfected porn filters and stuff like that over the years too. Is just by Googling it themselves and seeing what results come up.
I understand Matt Cutts was involved in that to some degree.
Yeah, like I believe they'd be using a lot of human intervention there, or, massaging.
Well, the story that I've heard about that was he used to encourage people to perform searches to find pornography so that he could ban it. And his wife would bake cookies that were often referred to as porn cookies. So he could pay people for doing those types of searches. So sometimes if you're going to get your own crew at the search engine to perform those types of things, you've got to provide some extra motivation.
So when I was looking at those events, I couldn't believe how many of the events from these small rooms that a client of mine has, meeting rooms.
Yeah.
And how many of them they go out without any structured data. It just blew my mind. I couldn't believe it.
What, the events were being listed with no use of structured data?
Yep. Pretty much most of them were coming off event pages. So a page named events was almost like a trigger. And all you had to do was put event in the search and boom, you got all these little things, little cards at the top listing the events almost like a calendar.
So was that related to the event finder feature at Google?
No, that was just putting in.
No, I mean that they introduced like 2-3 years ago, where they said they would start returning events, and you can search for like musical events in Carlsbad, and you can see results from like the local church or the local museum of making music, and they list concerts.
Yeah,
and they'd have no structured data.
Yeah, just the on the website of the venue.
Yeah,
they had a page that you could tell it was events. So a lot of them, it's webmasters aren't the smartest guys. An events page, they're probably going to call it events.
Call it something other, it might never be found. Yeah.
Well, it makes it easier to find it when you got 200 files in the root of the site because you don't know what folders are for. But, you got to have that shallow, architecture. So we'll just put everything in the root. Sound familiar, Steve?
If you have separate folders, you have separate things to FTP into. It sounds like a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a client right now we're going through. They had built a new site, did all their proper stuff. Then they shut down an old website and redirected the old website to the new one, but didn't pay attention to anything and recreated the entire mess over again. With all the 301s going to not only pages that don't exist, but there are no 301s. So now there's 2 and 3 301s to move things around, and it's almost not worth even trying. Plus, the old site that they shut down at some point had been hacked and indexed with a whole bunch of CIS and porn links, so all those got redirected. And it's like, come on. Could you at least have not redirected the porn? That would have been nice.
Or known that you were hacked. That would be a start.
Oh, wow.
So there was an article I saw this past week that said 51%. It was in search engine land. It said 51% of spam, 51% of hacks on websites is spam, SEO spam.
I believe it.
No,
I believe it too.
Like most websites, there isn't any other reason to break into them.
well, yeah.
They aren't selling anything. Anybody who's selling anything and making any money, they're pretty secure usually.
Well, we know some secure sites get hacked anyway, like Experian last year.
Well, yeah, just to scrape personal information. Any place that's got a huge database of information is certainly going to be prey.
Yeah, but Experian offers you a free security check. Like I trust you to run a security check after you got no.
So there are really simple steps you can take to avoid getting hacked. Like change your username from admin to anything else.
Yeah.
That would be a good first step.
And then add a rule to your firewall that anybody tries to log in with the word admin is automatically has their IP blocked.
That's what I do.
A word fence tells me when I log in myself. Here, just letting you know why you logged in. I didn't set it up. They have a special place in email. All sent to that special place.
So warning, you have logged in. Gee, thanks.
Goes right to the delete folder.
Oh, you set up a rule to
Yep.
remove that. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the things that bothers me about Gmail. No way to set up rules like that, at least that I've seen.
Oh, don't get me started on that one, Bill. It's got put on it. I mean, you can't even create a box to put things in. I mean, email's been around for so many years before Google come around. Why do they just change it all? Because they can.
Reinventing the wheel.
It's just stupid. It's terrible. It's terrible.
What they did, Terry, is they took a square wheel and replaced it with a triangular wheel because it eliminates one bump.
So was it still just a coincidence that Gmail was introduced on April Fool's Day? Or is it the gift that keeps on giving?
I think the latter. Oh, I can't believe it when I go in there. I don't know what to do. Like, if you want to save something, where do you save it?
I forward it.
Leave it in the inbox until.
You know what I do, Terry? If I want to save it, I forward it to one of my real email addresses.
Oh yeah, forward it to a box and have one box to grab all that email. They don't do forwarding on Gmail, though, do they?
I think so.
You can forward from Gmail. Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh. Good to know. put a rule automatically. Everything goes to my other account.
I just think that the automated forwarding is another matter. You can manually forward.
Oh yeah, I don't think you can automate it. No.
Like you can on any other server, do a forward automatic.
Can't. No.
I don't know. Not in Gmail.
Jesus Christ. And people disparage Outlook and Exchange server. Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I think we got punked.
By Gmail? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a big joke.
There's somebody at Google who introduced Gmail and said, let's do this on April Fool's Day, and is still laughing.
Welcome to Data Harvest Day.
Oh, now what surprised me was I was looking through AdWords, and you can actually buy lead from Google where they put your ad in a Gmail account that has your competitor's name in it. So if your competitor sends them a return email, you could put your ad on that email.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes. Now that's targeted marketing.
Do you think?
Mhm.
I bet you Steve does that.
No, not me.
No?
I never target market. I use broad match only and single word phrases.
Yeah, all the better to spend your budget with, my dear.
You know,
That's right.
what always makes me wonder, looking at AdWords and the numbers that you get in SCM Rush from Google,
Mhm.
come two words, right? Two keywords where one is ... Toronto, and then Toronto ... have exactly the same amount of queries. Because it's broad query and they're giving the same amount of searches to both terms. So you can't add up the number of queries and get proper numbers. So estimating traffic is a big guesstimate, not even close to an estimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't take me long to figure that out. You know, you see it 5 or 6 times and you start to go, oh, geez, well, that's too much of a coincidence. Got to be because everything is broad match in those numbers.
Yeah, in this line of work, you can't very well believe in coincidence.
No. If you see it, you always are skeptical.
Anything that happens, somebody either did something really smart or really stupid. Usually the latter.
And Google's inconsistent enough so that it can get pretty confusing. When you see, it used to be that
These came back from a search.
and my phone's responding because I say the word Google, but I don't say like, hey, Google or okay, Google. It's not what I wanted.
They know what you want better than you do, Bill.
I just said Google. It's not supposed to be a trigger term.
Can you edit the trigger term?
No, you can't. Not in Google.
That's too bad.
I think
Change it to fuckwit or something, you know.
I think Alexa lets you do that.
Yeah. Within, I think there are limits though.
But with the keyword planning tool, it used to be that if you had a compound word where the words were joined together, like data center as one word and then data center is two words, they used to have different search volumes attached to them.
Yeah, because the hyphen in between the two words is treated as a space. To Google, it's a different term.
Well, it used to be data, no space, center.
Right.
As one word.
Right.
And data space center as a separate word with different search volumes. So data center as two words would get like 14,000 searches a month. Data center as one word would get 800 searches a month. I had a client who rented data centers. We recommended switching over to data center as two words, even though at that point they had trademarked all their data center as one word terms.
Oh, yeah. Customer's always right, though, even if they're spelling it wrong.
So the last time I looked, they were equal search volumes.
So people learn.
Data center is one word, data center is two words. It's because, because I don't think people changed how they were searching. I think Google changed what they were reporting on.
Yeah. Entity. It's the same entity to Google, probably.
So they just said, we're going to count those as the same search for the same thing.
They do that surprisingly for more and more stuff. You do see some, but attorney and lawyer was one I looked at. There's not much difference, really.
And attorney and attorneys?
Yeah.
Because they used to show you different things when you searched for the singular and plural.
Well, for instance, I just did 3 Google searches within a second of each other. I did time frame as one word. I get 108 million results. Time frame, 2 words, I get 5.77 billion results.
Ah.
And then time frame hyphenated, I get 2.49 billion results.
But that's number of results. That's not searches,
not the searches
in the keyword planner.
But
that's an estimate.
Yeah.
Estimated of how many results there are based upon some small percentage of the queries returned that they looked at. Might be like 2%. So it's not necessarily a very accurate estimate either.
Well, jumping from 108 million to 700 or 7 billion, not very accurate.
Yeah.
But I have seen that in search results a lot, and that's why I went and checked it. I don't do PPC. That's why I have Steve on speed dial.
But we're using the search volumes to estimate traffic for keywords even organically rather than PPC.
There's nowhere to get that data.
Not this accurate.
I've never known anywhere where it was actual queries. But even if you look at the ad impressions that they estimate when you're setting up an account. Not very accurate either. Usually it starts out with the cost being a lot less than it actually is.
Now, I remember working with clients who would do their own keyword research, and they would use the broad match numbers as estimates. And it's like, no, it's not quite right. It's maybe not going to get what you're looking for in terms of actual reflections of what traffic you might get to your page based on organic SEO.
Yeah, they should be using an exact match for that.
Right.
But then even if you're running ads, it's hard to do the exact match now.
Yeah, because exact match is no longer exact match. It's mostly exact match. They will still throw what they considered identical terms into your search camp or into your PPC campaigns. Even though you said only these terms and only this way, you will still see variations come through.
Yeah, I think it's been that way for a little over a year, hasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, it's just getting worse.
Can you use negative keywords to remove those, Steve?
You can. The problem, like some of the bigger problems you run into, is that the negative keywords aren't really true negatives, but they're enough of a variant that you don't want them coming up in a specific campaign or specific ad group, and it just throws the numbers out of whack. And the problem is a lot of those don't convert very well, so you end up with just all kinds of weirdness going on.
So they feel they have the right to just show your ad whatever they want
and charge you whatever they want.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, quality score! Don't get me started on that one. Oh boy, that's a sucker's game if I ever saw one. Page ranks in the top 10 in organic, but the same page won't pass a quality score. I'll just say.
Yeah.
Top 10 organic?
Yeah.
But it won't pass a quality score?
Not one that you want, not one that you would expect for a page like that.
Well, the problem is part of the quality score is based on the final conversion.
And part of
so
it
while
is
you may rank really well for a term, but if it doesn't convert, then your quality score will go down. Facebook does the same thing.
And quality score also depends upon things like a privacy policy being on the site.
Yeah, actually, they'll shut down your whole set of ads if you're not running privacy policy.
I have one on the site, but not on the pages for AdWords.
Yeah. Link to them. Yeah.
I don't have any links to the outside site from the AdWords page. I want to keep them on that page. Of course, it doesn't take, even most people on the internet know enough to cut back and you're on the home site. Like, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out how to get on the regular site.
People figure out how to hack URLs, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Hacking them URLs.
Mm-hmm.
Or URLs, as I've heard them called.
URLs.
The URLs.
It's like usability gurus like Jacob Nielsen, who would say things like people don't scroll on web pages, and then retract that 8 years later saying, people aren't as stupid as I thought they were. They do scroll.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when you tried to get everything on the first screen. That was part of the deal.
Yeah, they were above the fold.
Yeah. So they didn't have to scroll. So lots of websites like that. Didn't build many like that myself, but
They were short page websites. Yeah.
yeah, I had a payday loan website that I think there was 40 words on the whole site. It was all images and forms to fill out. That was it. That's all they needed. The qualifying questions and fill out the form. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the good old days, man.
Wondering, if Google at some point in time would start using optical character recognition to read images or read text in images, and wonder about whether or not that would really be a good idea.
Facebook. When you're running a Facebook ad, they scan your image looking for text, and the more text you have in the photo, the lower your quality score is on your ad.
Yeah.
So, like, we had this problem with a real estate client because it was picking up the numbers on the houses in the picture as text and adding that to the total. So we had to go in with Photoshop and take all the numbers off all the houses and the mailboxes.
Because actually having addresses for those houses was the same as spam. Yeah.
Sure. Because people don't want to read ads on Facebook. They want to look at pretty pictures and videos that interrupt whatever it is you're watching. And now YouTube's showing ads in pairs now. I'll set up a playlist and it'll run the first ad, and if you don't click through the ad, skip the ad, and it says skip ads, plural. And if you don't skip it, then it shows you a second one.
So if you're advertising on Facebook for a business and you've got a picture of the storefront and they've got a bunch of text decals up in their window, you're screwed.
It's a pain in the butt. It is just, it's ridiculous. The hoops you got to jump through these days to stay compliant.
Yeah, but that's a paid network. You shouldn't expect any less out of them, Steve. I mean, that's the big folk, the big scam to me. Facebook was started out as a private, social network. Now it's just a paid platform. I mean, you got thousands of followers, and yet, you post and 6 people see it. What's up with that? But if you pay, they'll show it to thousands.
I think technically it's off as a hot or not site, but that's another issue entirely.
What kind of site?
Hot or not.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to the Internet Archive and look for the earliest or one of the very earliest Facebook pages on the Internet Archive, you can see the voting buttons.
Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't done something to try to get those taken down. Or maybe they don't care. I
think that they didn't care much at that point because Facebook was just ripping off other sites doing the same thing.
Yeah,
when it
but
first started.
that's fairly common on the internet. I don't hold that against them at all.
Yeah. And the idea was based upon an actual physical Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had a yearbook that came out at the start of the year so you could know who the other people were on campus. So I've been seeing this person. Where are they? Here they are. Oh, that's the name. So, privacy? No, it's not the point.
No.
I remember telling my neighbors that the Street View car had come by from Google when they were out on the patio, and that they were captured live on Street View. They were too happy. I mean, they were out sitting drinking beers on the patio. And I guess that's
Sounds like
how they
you're
wanted to be captured.
You know, they were supposed to be at work or
Don't know.
called in sick.
Street View doesn't tell you the day that they take the pictures.
Yeah, just a year, isn't it?
I'm not sure if it's even shows the year.
Yeah, it does. Just so does Google Earth. Just the year.
I can make pretty good estimates of when the satellite images of our property were taken based on the construction work that was being done at the time.
See, there is a benefit to having perpetual construction, Steve.
Yep. I know when the satellites are passing overhead.
I have no clue when satellites are going over.
I don't mind the satellites. It's the drones that make me nervous.
It's the helicopters from the military bases around me that make me nervous. Especially the black ones.
We get the helicopters come by here about once every 3 or 4 weeks.
I think ours are at least once a week.
You're kind of close to a military base, though.
Yeah. I think there are at least 3 or 4 big ones surrounding me.
Yeah.
Not too many drones, though. At least not too many I see.
Well, if they're high enough, you might not notice, you know.
Do you have to register flight plans for drones?
No.
No? You do have to get a permit.
Depends on where you're flying and why. If you're flying for pay, you have to be licensed. If you're flying for fun, then you're under a certain weight. Off you go. Have a good time.
I've seen people warn in places like Nextdoor that any size drone in San Diego is required. The operator is required to have a permit or license.
Well, like you said, you're surrounded by military bases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only complaint with the drones is, and a lot of the parks are banning them, is the noise. There's nothing worse than being out for a hike and hearing this high-pitched lawnmower flying over your head.
Get a lot of videos of ocean life around me. People taking shots off the coast.
Mm-hmm.
And those are actually a lot of fun.
I'm still working on one for managing the farm, so I can go check on the cows and stuff from my deck without actually having to go out and look for them.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some of the bigger ranches, like in Brazil and Australia, even up north in Montana, are using satellites and RFID tags. They put a satellite transceiver on their bull,
Yeah.
which communicates to a satellite and GPS, so they know where the bull is at any point. And then it has RFID tags on all the cows, so that because all the cows will pass within RFID tagging distance of that bull at least once a day. And when they have a tag that doesn't fire, they go looking for them, and then they start with the last known tag point. It's a whole lot easier than trying to cover 40,000 acres on a bike or a horse.
I tried to get RFID tags put on files in our criminal cases when I worked at the courthouse in Delaware, because you can walk down the aisle with a antenna and go back to the computer and look for all the misplaced files that are in the wrong spots.
Oh,
It'll, why do all the work of having to dig through we had people searching through files daily, making sure that everything was filed correctly.
I could see that could be something handy in an evidence locker too.
Yeah.
Especially since some departments occasionally have evidence get up and grow feet.
Yeah, when I tried to do that, the tags were up. They were costing 50 cents per tag, and it was just too expensive.
Yeah.
So we ended up with some barcode system.
Which doesn't do a damn thing to detect misfiled stuff.
Right, it doesn't. But it tells you when the files have been removed to go on a criminal calendar or sent up to a judge's office.
Yeah.
So when the judge's office calls down and complains about needing the file for a case, and you can tell them, well, that file's been signed out to your office.
You have it.
Yeah. It's good to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Because before we were able to do that, we had no idea.
Judges are never wrong.
So it can't be up in the chambers.
I've ever talked to. Yeah.
So we've spent the whole day searching down here and haven't found it. So maybe we call them back and ask them to check again. Oh, there it is. Up in chambers. Yeah, tracking was something we really wanted. RFID would have done that. And I think Walmart really wanted RFID for all their merchants, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. there were a couple times where they were requiring that everybody working with them have RFID tags on all their products.
That would sure speed up the inventory process, wouldn't it? If everything in the store was RFID.
Yeah, tremendously.
Not to mention some pilferage.
It would also cover your shipment of products on cargo lines, trains, because you could set up antennas at different points near where the trains go by and identify what was there and what was missing. So that could have worked really effectively. Walmart couldn't get away with it. People wouldn't let them do that. They were afraid that the tags would remain on the products in the store and remain on the products when people bought them and took them home. And that Walmart would track people who had bought products to where they lived.
Yeah, we already have that data. It's called credit card data.
Yeah. There's no need to fear because you should have already been afraid.
Yeah, that horse has been left the barn. It is amazing how much data is out there that people just don't understand that's available out there.
Yep. Easily, openly.
Every single purchase you make with a credit card has been purchased by a half dozen different companies already, and Google's one of them.
It's like that scene in Minority Report where the kiosks in the stores start talking to people as they come in, asking them how they liked their purchase from the week before, if the jeans fit right, so on.
And I mean, we've got all that kind of stuff going on where, I forget what it's, beacon technology, where if you're running the app, as you're walking down the aisle in the grocery store, it knows what aisle you're in, and it will pop up, specials and coupons for whatever's in front of you.
Yeah. And both Google and Apple have geofencing patents already. So it's not just Snapchat.
Yeah.
They can identify when you're within their targeted areas and send you messages. Is that a privacy invasion or is it an opportunity?
Well, it's like, okay, for people who use the Waze app for mapping and stuff like that, we've got a handful of local client, not local to me, but local businesses that we actually advertise on there. The pricing's not bad depending on where you're at, but I am shocked at how many people that drives to different locations. As an example, it's kind of neutral. It's not one of my clients. It's just somebody I know. Like a Jiffy Lube, where you'll get within whatever the Waze radius is of 1.5 miles or 2 miles. Their little icon will pop up on your phone that says, Jiffy Lube is up here. And then when you hit a full stop, they switch over what they call billboard ads, where they take over your screen and stop showing you the map and start showing you an ad. And then those ads will say something like, well, is it time to get your oil changed? Come in for free coffee and donuts and we'll change your oil. And here's a $10 off coupon. And then you push a button and it changes where your location, changes your map directions to go to that Jiffy Lube.
So Google has a location history tracker.
Uh-huh.
It the patent for it says that they may track businesses within 1,000 feet of roadways.
Which is every business.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
If and track their social information. So I guess they could share social information to people who might be using some navigation device.
Now, when you start getting the ones, your friend Jenny's eating over here at Chili's, why don't you pop in and say hi and grab a bite?
It's dodgeball.
And find out that Jenny is having lunch with your husband.
It sounds like a plot for a TV series, a bad one.
There you go. No, but you're right, Steve. Most people have no idea how much in-depth information is readily available to anybody that knows how to look for it.
Hey guys, it's after the hour, so I'm gonna say good night to everyone. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
See ya.
Take care.
Goodbye, all.
Catch you later.